Welcome to this Sea Ranch Life. I'm George Callis. Today we'll be speaking with Elisabeth Watson, the newest member of the Sea Ranch Board of Directors. Elisabeth was recently appointed to the position to fulfill a vacancy on that board. And now, a conversation with Elisabeth Watson. Well, Elisabeth, thanks so much for participating today. We really appreciate it. Let's jump right in. You were recently appointed to fill this vacancy on the Sea Ranch Board of Directors now 2 days ago, and that was done in accordance with our bylaws, which give the existing board members the chance to appoint anyone that they select. And we had an impressive pool of applicants, 5 women, and ultimately you were selected. What would you like to say to Sea Ranchers as you're stepping into this role and this responsibility? What would you tell us all?
First of all, thank you. Thank you, George, for doing this. As I said before, it's a huge service. Thank you to the many Sea Ranchers who have reached out and expressed their confidence in me and their support for me. It really means a lot. Some of our most, I think, august members have indicated that they are happy to see me in this place, and that really means an enormous amount. Saturday night when all was sort of said and done, and my husband and I were chatting, it really hit me. I mean, I love this. It is our home. It is my heart home, and that is true for so many of us. And it is an honor and a privilege and a bit of a whoa to be a part of its governance. It's very, very special place. So mostly I am enormously gratified, and I look forward to contributing, and I'm enjoying reading the many emails and all of the information that's being sent my way so that I can come up to speed, because I have a very large inbox right now. But it's all interesting, it's fascinating, it's great stuff, and it's all things to move our community forward. And I'm just grateful for the opportunity to participate and in this way. It's a huge honor. Thank you.
Yeah, very good. Let's talk about what you feel are the priorities facing this board, or what, in your opinion, what are the priorities that this board needs to have over the next, we'll say now less than a year, when this board, this board will change again in May of next year. Mm-hmm. So over the next 10 months, what do you think the priorities are?
Well, obviously our first priority is to hire a community manager. That's the most important thing I think this board executes in the remainder of our tenure. And that process is in process. That's one of the things I'm being brought up to speed on. But that is first and foremost what we must do. We need a competent, effective community manager for us to thrive. I think there are other priorities is really to provide some stable leadership, which we've talked about extensively on Saturday, but we can talk about it again. I believe that we are a governing board, not a managing board, and I want to do my part to see us be a governing board. We've talked, you and I personally, about we have our staff, we have our directors, we have our volunteers, and we all perform critical roles in keeping our community thriving. And I want to ensure that we keep the boundaries between them, but also to keep everyone moving. I think our staffing, like everyone else in the world, is important. We need to support our staff in succession planning where needed. And I also think that we have to address some of the priorities the members have put before us. We now have a resolution to pickleball. Let's get that done. I've gotten emails about various things people are interested in, such as the solar array. I think we need to look at the things that we have agreed are important, we have budgeted for, and ensure that the board's role in execution, whatever that might be, that we do it and do it effectively. Lastly, climate change and its impact on water, fires, various things that have come up in these discussions. We need to be continue to be vigilant about what our options are to address those things effectively, and also to recognize what is and is not within our control, and to do what we need to do.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the community manager selection process a little bit. Could you summarize what you feel the criteria are? We're gonna see, ostensibly, we're gonna see a handful of candidates. We don't know how many, and those will probably get narrowed down. What would you say the criteria? What are we looking for in the community manager? How will you measure a particular candidate?
Well, I think actually it's in the title. We are going to ask this person to manage our community. So what are the requisite skills of management? Those are leadership, excellent communication, an ability to define and explain and quantify our priorities, and to execute. So we're going to need a great leader who can work with our staff and help us find new staff and keep people motivated. And also to reach out to our community and let us know what they are doing within the confines of also what's possible for them to do their jobs. Fiscal experience and fiscal responsibility are essential. We have a non-trivial budget. It needs to be managed and managed well. We have great finance staff, thank goodness for Ellen, but the buck stops with the community manager. So that's important. And I think I will say though, that people have said we need someone who knows us and understands us. I certainly want someone who shares our values. I think otherwise it would not work. We are a values-driven community. But I also recognize that there may be some good options in the people that might come to us who don't know us all that well to start with, and will take the time to get to know us during the process. I think we want to be able to cast our net fairly far afield to ensure that we get the best possible candidates. And we'll get to know them and vice versa.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I want to bring up a couple of points that have came up in the selection process, the special board meeting, where there was a lot of discussion about both you and the other applicants, and many commenters there and in the community offered their thoughts and opinions, quite a wide spectrum of thoughts, not only about you, but about every candidate that was there. One point that came up was that appointing you was really a move to create what some commenters refer to as a voting block. How would you respond to that?
I heard a lot of things attributed to me that I thought were pretty interesting because they were attributed by people who've never spoken to me. So that was interesting. At one point, I actually thought to myself, if someone asks me a question, I hope they give me time to go ask my husband what I think. I told my father that had happened. I said, they think I'm just kind of a mouthpiece for Nigel and some of the board members that have come before. And my father said, have they met you? Give them my phone number. I wish I could have had that much control over you when you were 2, let alone now. So I would first say to the people who say that, would you mind taking a few minutes and getting to know me a little bit? Hopefully that's what this video was about. On more seriously, a voting block, I actually don't know that that's really possible. We have 7 unique directors, each of whom have their own processes for arriving at decisions and their own timing for doing so. We're each going to behave differently. We're going to get to what we get to. I actually hope that we agree with each other to the extent possible a lot of the time, because that means we've worked hard to get to the best solution. Now, I'm not advocating that we always be unanimous, or this mythical 5-2 that we're talking about is always going to be what's happening. But I do hope that our votes reflect our collective work to get to the right answers, and our individual expertise and understanding of what the issues are and what is best. One of the things I was really impressed that Wendy Lazarson said was that she wasn't afraid to make decisions, and she wasn't afraid to vote those decisions. And I certainly agree with her on that. The other thing, just practically, Mark Godley and I disagree pretty strongly, especially about the CC&R amendment. We've had very open and frank discussions about it. I have learned a lot from his perspective. It's been very helpful. To have their votes in my favor is something I appreciate and view as an honor, but that doesn't mean we're in lockstep agreement. And nor should we expect to be. We need 7 independent minds with great analytical and decision-making power, and we have it. Let's use it.
Speaking of different opinions and different viewpoints among the directors, certainly in the past, especially over the past couple of years, we've seen very divergent opinions on a number of issues.
Mm-hmm.
How do you yourself propose approaching the decision-making process, given a wide diversity of opinions and sometimes very divergent opinions, and yet the need to formulate a direction and collaborate, hopefully? What do you see that decision-making process, or what would you hope seeing that decision-making process look like?
Well, I mean, the first thing in any individual issue, we have to look at whether or not it's one of our priorities and where we should be spending our time. In years past, the board has had a meeting at the beginning of its session setting its priorities for the year. I asked for that as part of my application process and was told it didn't happen. That's unfortunate, because that's the first place to start. Is it something that we have recognized that the community wants? And is it frankly something that as a result of that is in the budget? Those are the things we need to make the decisions about, and those are the things we need to make the decisions about now. So once we've established it's a priority and it's something that we need to do, the next step is to look at our options. And our options should be based in fact and feasibility. So if there's a solution to a problem or a solution to an issue or an approach, then we need to understand what those things are, what the factual basis is for why those options might be recommended. And then we have to look at whether or not they're fiscally feasible. If we can't afford it, it's a great idea and we can't afford it. Unfortunately, it's not an idea we're going to be able to do. So we have to, I support our ideals, and that's the basis of where we start. But when we go to create the policy on which those ideals are executed, we need to recognize what is and is not possible and work within it. And then the last thing is, anytime we commit our resources to one particular approach, we may have an opportunity cost with something else we cannot do. So there might be an ideal solution that has mass agreement, but it also might consume more resources than makes sense for the organization at the time.
Yeah, I think you're talking about trade-offs.
Yes,
which happen. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And
they're a reflection of what's important to us.
Yeah, very good.
And if we need to change them, then we need to have a discussion about it. And we need to change the budget, and that means we change the dues, and we'll have a discussion about that. But we have a mechanism for arriving at what we choose to do, and and for the most part, it works.
Yeah, good. If so, you'll have 10 months because you're finishing out. You're finishing out a prior director's term and everything, and as that 10 months, well, actually, into the winter, there'll be a call for candidates for the next board, and that will include, I believe that will be for 2 more board positions next year.
I think so.
I think that's correct. At any rate, as your term as filling out this term draws to a close, do you think you'll consider running, just being a candidate and putting your name out there in the regular election?
George, you can let me read my board emails first before you. No, I don't mean to be disingenuous. I would absolutely consider running. I think, frankly, it would be a waste of the time to come up to speed and not potentially use it further. That said, I am 2 days in. I have a lot to read and catch up on, and the membership is going to have some time to see me work and see me make some decisions and decide whether or not they like the likes of what they see. And I reserve the right to take some time and think about it, as going forward, as part of the process of getting ready to apply, or applying. I talked to many Sea Ranchers, some former board members, some current board members, and people who have served in multiple volunteer capacities, including you, about what is important and what they see that needs to happen. And that was part of my homework. And I did that so I would be ready. But I also wanted to understand where that fit with my time and my priorities. And I wanted to make sure that I could commit the necessary time and do so willingly and happily. And I would reserve the right to make that evaluation again in 6 months' time, because I don't know that, or whatever it would be. We'll have to see what is happening then. But it is absolutely not out of the question that I would run.
Great. Elisabeth, I think we've kind of handled a wide range of questions here, but I do want to give you an opportunity to take another minute or two if there's anything you'd like to add or any message you'd like to put out there, or
yeah, I guess let me think about it for a minute. I think we've talked a lot about healing and divisiveness. I think we're all a little tired of it, healing about that. And I think some of it is a little bit of community will to decide to move on. Mm-hmm. I hope that we can collectively express a little bit of community will to decide to move on. I would ask people to, especially the people who objected to my appointment, to give me a chance and get to know me. And I would ask us all to be careful and watchful of our language and the tone of our language and how we treat each other, because I think we could do a little better, frankly. And I'd like to be a part of modeling that change and being that change. And if I fail to treat my fellow Sea Ranchers with respect, or I fail to take the task set before us with the appropriate diligence and responsibility, I expect you all to call on me. Call me on it. And I will do my best. And I very much appreciate this opportunity and your support.
Well, thanks, Elisabeth. It's been great to chat with you like this. And
always a pleasure.
Yeah, really fun. And I wish you the very best, and you'll jump in and
already jumped. Already in.
Wish you and the entire rest of the board every success at this point.
Thank you so much, George.
You bet. Thank you. Thanks for joining us on This Sea Ranch Life. We've been speaking with Elisabeth Watson, newest member of the Sea Ranch Board of Directors. I hope you'll join us again soon. Until then, take care of yourself, and if you can, take care of someone else too.